Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I was dreading this film. I know I'm very, very late to the game, but I just did not want to waste any money seeing this when it came out in November last year. I just didn't feel like $12, and that unfortunately is how much it costs where I'm at to see these films. I did not feel like it was worth it to go and see the Marvels in theaters. I just didn't. And Irvin actually saw it ahead of me where he was. And if you guys don't really know how he feels about it, he actually has made his own review about the Marvels, and I think he put it on his channel. If I find it, I will definitely put it. I'll definitely link it to this video. But guys, after watching so many reviews, after pretty much everyone saying how dead Disney was when it came to this film, how the MCU was definitely dying, how bad it did in the box office, I actually watched this on Disney Plus. And I was pleasantly surprised how painfully average this film was. This film was not a dumpster fire. It wasn't a train wreck. It wasn't a horrible film. It wasn't terrible. It didn't suck. It just was painfully average. Just like how Captain Marvel was painfully average. Now, when it came to Brie Larson phoning it in, I didn't really see that, in my humble opinion. I kind of saw the same way she acted in Captain Marvel. It just seemed like it was consistent all the way through. And I didn't really get what people saw when they watched in the theaters. Monica Rambeau definitely is not one of my favorite characters. Nothing against Tiana Paris. I just do not like Monica Rambeau in the MCU version. I have never read her in the comics. I don't know much about her in the comics. I do know that I don't like the MCU version of her because she is incredibly reckless. And in my humble opinion, she shouldn't be leader of anything because she's reactionary. She just goes and does stuff. She does not think things through. And I'm not a big fan of her character. And the fact that they made her a science nerd, I'm just like, okay, what is she going to be? Is she going to be an Air Force soldier? Or is she going to be a scientist? What is she going to be? And the fact that she was constantly talking all this science jargon and not dumbing it down for the audience that doesn't understand what she's saying was equally annoying. Now, for those that have watched the MCU, you guys know about Tony Stark. He's pretty much one of the smartest men in the MCU. And even though he had a lot of charisma, oozed it, the guy knew his science, but he knew how to dumb it down to where people could understand exactly what he was saying. The same thing with Bruce Banner and him as Professor Hulk. He knew exactly how to do the exact same thing. Shuri, in a way, knew how to do the exact same thing. When we saw her in Black Panther, she knew how to dumb things down for people that did not know the tech. They should have done that here. I know that they're trying to make women to be stronger, wonderful, and great, and all that other stuff, but they should have dumbed that down with Monica. At least, if she's supposed to be relatable, make her relatable. Have her be the audience's translator. Have whatever she's saying about science dumbed down to the point where people get it, instead of trying to make it a stretched out joke that just needed to die. I honestly didn't like what they did with her character. It could have been better. Now, everyone keeps gushing about Iman Vellani. Iman Vellani is a typical teenage character. I have seen plenty of Disney teen dramas to where that her being that cringy was irritating, but it wasn't annoying. And I expected that. Of course, she had a very annoying family because every teenage film or series has an annoying family. She has an incredibly annoying family. But the fact is, she was a very likable character. She was incredibly down to earth. She was just happy to be there, and that shows. She was just playing a teenage girl because she's a very young girl. She's just happy to be a part of the unit, be a part of the team. And that's cool. That's fine. Am I thrilled about her possibly leading the Avengers Initiative? Not really, because her character is not very well known for anybody, for anyone to put her in that position. And instead of it being forced, it has to be earned, and it just wasn't earned. But I think a lot of people have done many videos on this, so I'm not going to really go too much into it. Now, as for Nick Fury, he was there. I mean, he existed. He was there in a few scenes. He has some substance here and there. He wasn't as active as he has been in the past three phases, but he was there, I guess. I mean, I kind of wish that Nick Fury was a lot more active, but after seeing Secret Invasion, it's kind of hard to look at him the same way again, especially how they completely downgraded the guy and just made him into an old fart that doesn't know what he's doing anymore. And it's hard to look at him now. It's really hard to look at him in the eye with respect after what they did with him. It just is. And that's just my opinion. And I'm not getting on George the Flurkin, if that's what his name is. I'm tired of Flurkins. It's great to see him, but good Lord, there was just too many Flurkins in this film. Them eating stuff, and then somehow this Flurkin eggs infested the entire ship. Dear Lord. Yeah, and then we got, a brief moment of Valkyrie, and I'm not going to talk about the deleted scene. I will leave that out of this review. But there were so many directions they could have gone here. So many directions, so many good story plots, so many good themes that they could have added in there. Especially when it comes to working together, unity, finding common ground. That could have been the overall plot of this entire movie. It could have been. But they didn't really go there that much with it. Now, for what Carol Danvers did to liberate the Kree, she made a terrible mistake. After what they did to her, she thought, I gotta liberate you. And she ended up making things worse. There were so many directions they could have gone with this. They honestly just didn't go there. And with Kamala Khan finally meeting her hero, they could have definitely inserted, it's never good to meet your heroes because you'll find out who they really are. They could have put that in there and made that an interesting platform for Kamala Khan to stand on, at least for her to be a little bit less doe-eyed about her and a little bit more realistic. I mean, unfortunately, she would have to see, the true colors of her hero, but she would have to be aware of what you would have to do once you have those powers. You'll be doing a lot of things that are not the best. That it's going to be a lot of hard decisions you would have to make with that much responsibility. And they could have put that there for Kamala Khan to look at and feed on. But as for Monica Rambeau, to be honest with you, if you took her out of film, she really wouldn't impact anything. Except for the end. Hence why that she was there. Because of the ending. That's the reason why they had to have her there to close out the rest of the movie. But she didn't really have a big purpose of being in there. Just mostly she was just there to completely close off the film and go into possibly the X-Men franchise. And I will get into that a little bit later. Now, let's talk about the villain. I think her name is Zoe Benson. I could be totally wrong. If I am, then I will definitely put it somewhere on the bottom with her correct name. But Zoe Benson actually played Dar-Ben, and Dar-Ben was probably one of the most generic villains that you could ever have in the MCU. And honestly, she had every right to be upset with Captain Marvel, every right to be upset with what happened. But here's the flaw. She says she was there, but she was under a whole bunch of rock and rubble. How would she know exactly what lies the Grand Intelligence actually told her? How would she know all that when she's covered in a bunch of rock? She's not going to be able to hear through rock. And also the fact that she literally was... It was the plot of Spaceballs, y'all. And if you guys haven't seen Spaceballs, go and watch it. It's a classic. I absolutely love that film. It's probably one of the best parodies of Star Wars I've ever watched in my entire life. But they literally took the plot of Spaceballs and gave it to Zoe Benson's character of Dar-Ben, and literally had her do the entire plot by sucking out the atmosphere and somehow giving it to her dying planet, sucking up water from another planet, giving it to her dying planet, and then trying to steal the sun from Earth. Really? How in the world is that supposed to work? You don't think your atmosphere is going to change the atmosphere, the air that you're sealing it from, as well as the water that you're sealing it from? You don't think that the water is going to instantly evaporate or completely change in general, depending on your planet's atmosphere that is partially there? And as for the sun that you're trying to steal, you don't think that the atmosphere where you are is going to affect the sun that you're taking from one galaxy to another? Did they really think all this through? Did they think that the audience really wouldn't think about all this and how this would actually work? And then how in the very end that Captain Marvel was able to use her space powers to reheat the sun? Instead of the Kree, who are incredibly intelligent, trying to create technology to restart their sun, they're going to steal atmospheres from other planets. They're going to steal water and other resources from other planets. They're going to literally just completely wipe out civilizations to save their own when they're smart enough to restart their own planet. And how in the world can one AI run the entire planet in that way to where they control the sun and the water and the air and rain? How is that possible? How is that possible that the Kree are able to create technology like that, but they're not able to restart things themselves? And then also, this kind of messes up Secret Invasion altogether. How? Because Carol was able to find the scrolls that she took on that refugee ship at the end of Captain Marvel all the way to a refugee planet. They were able to find a home. So the fact that you have all those scrolls that were still on Earth, and this was around the time when Carol was already gone, taking them to another planet, you're telling me that they couldn't send a ship back knowing where they were? And the fact that they were already in space. They were already in space, according to Secret Invasion, already in space. You're telling me that she couldn't come back, guide them to the planet where they were. They had over 1 million of them. You're telling me they couldn't do that? This completely ruins the plot in general, or I guess the theme, if you will. The theme of Secret Invasion. It completely annihilates Secret Invasion. It makes no sense at all for the drama that happened there. It makes no sense for Dar-Ben to be stealing atmosphere when they're smart enough to restart their entire planet. The plot is what killed this film. It wasn't so much the actresses, it was the script. The script was trash. That was the only thing that was that bad about this film. It wasn't so much the CG. The CG was okay. I wasn't too thrilled with how Captain Marvel's super suit was incredibly dull, barely any color. No light, no type of neon lights or anything. It was just dull looking. And I didn't really like how her outfit looked. But the script was just so bad. Like, I think that somebody literally ran out of ideas. They had brain farts coming pretty much every 5 seconds, to where they literally just found an old VHS cassette tape, or maybe they just went on Netflix or some type of streaming show, saw Spaceballs, we're taking that, and decided to actually insert it into the Marvels. That's what I'm getting here. The script is what killed this film. That's what killed this film. That's why people say it sucked, because the script was that bad. And they did everything they could possibly do to try to introduce the X-Men, especially introducing Binary to the X-Men. That was played by the woman that played Monica Rambeau's mother. And of course we had Beast. We had the classic Beast from the 1990s version. And honestly, guys, they did everything they could to try to bring in the X-Men. And in my opinion, they should have just left that out. I wish they did. It was no sense to even do that, but they decided to do that. Did that ruin the film? No. But the fact they're trying to make Kamala Khan the head of the Avengers film ruin everything? No. The script is what ruined this film. It wasn't the wokeness that people are saying it was. Honestly, after watching it, there was barely any type of feminist undertones or overtones or any of that. I didn't get any type of wokeness from this. All that I got was a bad script. But I'm watching this on Disney Plus. Now, for those that actually watched my Little Mermaid review, I even mentioned here that this was probably heavily edited to the point where for those that actually saw this in theaters, it was probably 9,000 times different from what you guys saw. I saw this on Disney Plus. This probably isn't the same thing that was out in theaters. This is probably a well cleaned up version of it. And honestly, they should have put this out in theaters and it would have had a lot better review. I mean, a lot of people probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if they've seen this version than they did in the movies. So it's kind of hard for me to be judgmental towards anybody saying that, everyone who says this, no, they're not, they're liars. No, I'm not going to say that because I'm seeing it on Disney Plus. They probably heavily edited this film. They probably went through all the scenes that did not work, cut them out, and then they just inserted it back in there and just try to make it work the best way they can. And honestly, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't that bad of a film. Wasn't cringy to go to the planet that all they do is sing? Yeah, it was. But it wasn't as cringy as I thought it would be. And then the fact that she kind of somehow magically turned into Princess Marvel, which is weird, it wasn't as bad as I expected. Honestly, it was okay. It wasn't a great film, but it was okay. But again, this is on Disney Plus, and it was probably heavily edited. So from this version that I watched on Disney Plus, I'm going to give it's 3 out of 5. This is 3 out of 5 stars because this was painfully average film. It wasn't above average. It wasn't below. It was just average. It was there. It existed. And it's up there with Captain Marvel being painfully average. But yeah, this is 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a dumpster fire. This isn't the worst film I've ever watched, but it wasn't great. But for those that actually saw it in theaters, I really do want to know what y'all saw. Like, was this the same film that I saw on Disney Plus? Was that the same one that was in theaters? I am curious for those that actually did watch in theaters what you thought about it. I'm really curious. Leave all of your comments about this film in the comment section below. Tell me what you think for those that actually watched it on Disney Plus and for those that saw it in theaters. I'm very curious about what you guys think about this. But other than that, that is it for me. And if you guys like what I say, like what I do, by all means subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.